Hello, our Lives channel. Today we will learn about the mysterious connection between Kat Greene and E.J. DiMera through the classic novel Wuthering Heights, and how this literary clue might unlock a long-buried secret involving Sami Brady that could change everything we thought we knew about their past. The June mystery that started it all. The puzzle pieces began falling into place months ago when sharp-eyed viewers noticed something peculiar happening during a seemingly ordinary scene at Marlena Evans' townhouse. Kat Greene experienced an inexplicable reaction when she encountered a framed photograph of Sami Brady displayed prominently in the home. Her face betrayed recognition, confusion, and something deeper that she couldn't quite articulate in that moment. Tate Black, who was present during this encounter, immediately picked up on Kat's strange behavior and directly questioned whether she had any previous connection to Sammy. Kat fumbled for an explanation, ultimately suggesting that Sammy must simply remind her of someone from her past, though she genuinely couldn't pinpoint why the woman in the photograph looked so hauntingly familiar. This wasn't just a throwaway moment or coincidence. The writers were clearly planting seeds for a major revelation that would eventually blossom into a storyline connecting three key characters in ways nobody could have anticipated. The Wuthering Heights discovery. The mystery deepened considerably during the October 16th episode when Foster approached Kat with what seemed like an innocent question about literature. He asked whether she had ever read the Emily Bronte classic Wuthering Heights, and Kat's response was telling in its ambiguity. As she flipped through the pages of the novel, her expression shifted between confusion and something resembling distant recognition. She admitted that she didn't believe she had read it before, yet something about the book seemed to pull at her consciousness in a way she couldn't rationally explain. Kat quickly insisted that she wanted to read the story, displaying an unusual eagerness that suggested more than casual interest. Her reaction appeared almost visceral, as though the book was awakening dormant memories buried deep in her subconscious mind. The scene was deliberately crafted to showcase Kat's internal struggle with fragments of remembrance that refused to fully surface. E.J.'s parallel reaction. Shortly after Kat's encounter with the novel, she ran into E.J. DiMera at what appears to be Julie's new bookstore location. Kat helpfully directed him toward the classics section, perhaps not realizing she was guiding him toward his own moment of revelation. E.J. picked up a copy of Wuthering Heights, and viewers were treated to the same odd, contemplative expression that had crossed Kat's face earlier. The parallel between their reactions was impossible to ignore and clearly intentional on the part of the show's writers. Neither E.J. nor Kat seemed consciously aware of why this particular book held such significance, yet both were drawn to it in ways that defied logical explanation. The fact that two seemingly unconnected individuals would have identical, inexplicable reactions to the same literary work strongly suggests that Wuthering Heights served as a shared experience in their lives. An experience that has been locked away in their memories until this pivotal moment. Sammy's time in Italy with E.J. To understand how these puzzle pieces might fit together, we need to revisit what happened during one of the most dramatic periods in E.J. and Sammy's tumultuous relationship. After E.J. was rescued from a horrific situation where he had been held captive and subjected to Dr. Rolf's experimental procedures, he was left in devastating condition. He was covered in bandages from severe burns sustained when the laboratory was set ablaze during his rescue, and he remained trapped in a coma due to the drugs that had been pumped into his system during his time as an unwilling test subject. Sammy brought him back to Salem initially, where DNA testing confirmed his identity, but his condition remained critical and showed little improvement. The decision was ultimately made to send E.J. to Italy for specialized treatment at a hospice center where he could receive round-the-clock care. Sammy accompanied him on this journey, dedicating herself completely to his recovery during what must have been an agonizingly slow and uncertain process. She spent years vigilantly watching over E.J. while he remained unconscious, waiting for the day he would finally wake up and return to her. The reading theory. Given what we know about E.J.'s extended period of unconsciousness and Sammy's devotion during his recovery, it's entirely plausible that she would have read to him during those long, quiet hours at his bedside. Reading to coma patients is a common practice that serves multiple purposes. It provides comfort to the caregiver, maintains a connection between the patient and the outside world, and may even help stimulate brain activity that could aid in recovery. Wuthering Heights, with its epic tale of consuming passion, revenge, and love that transcends death, would have been a particularly fitting choice for Sammy to share with EJ given the intense, complicated nature of their own relationship. The themes of the novel, lovers separated by circumstances beyond their control, the destructive power of obsession, and the possibility of reunion against all odds, would have resonated deeply with Sammy's situation as she sat vigil over her husband. Even if EJ couldn't consciously process the story while trapped in his comatose state, his brain may have registered Sammy's voice and the cadence of the narrative on a subconscious level. This type of deep memory encoding could explain why he now experiences such a strange reaction to the book without understanding the source of his feelings. Kat's connection to the Italian clinic. The theory becomes even more intriguing when we consider Kat's own medical history and the possibility that her path may have crossed with Sammy and EJ during that critical period in Italy. Kat has her own history of requiring medical treatment following an accident and subsequent surgery that left her vulnerable and in need of extensive recovery. What if the clinic where Kat was treated was the same facility, or a connected facility, where EJ was receiving his long-term care? Italian medical centers specializing in coma patients and trauma recovery aren't infinite in number, and it's entirely conceivable that Kat could have been a patient in the same hospice center, perhaps even in a room adjacent to EJ's or in the same recovery ward. If Kat was bedridden and unable to care for herself during her own recuperation, Sammy might have noticed her during her daily visits to EJ. Sammy, with her natural tendency to involve herself in other people's lives and her compassionate side that emerges in crisis situations, could have been drawn to Kat as a fellow patient in need. Perhaps Kat reminded Sammy of one of her daughters, or maybe Sammy simply couldn't bear to see another person suffering alone without companionship. The shared literary experience. If both EJ and Kat were patients at the same Italian facility during overlapping time periods, Sammy may have extended her reading sessions to include both of them. Picture the scene. Sammy sitting between two hospital beds, reading aloud from Wuthering Heights to her comatose husband while Kat lay in the next bed, drifting in and out of consciousness during her own recovery. Even if neither EJ nor Kat were fully aware of their surroundings during these reading sessions, their brains were still processing auditory information and creating subconscious memories. The human mind has a remarkable capacity to retain impressions and experiences, even when conscious awareness is compromised by injury, illness, or medication. Years later, when both Kat and EJ encounter the book again in Salem, something deep in their subconscious recognizes it. Not as something they actively remember reading or hearing, but as something that feels inexplicably significant and emotionally resonant. This would explain why both characters experience the same confused, drawn reaction to Wuthering Heights without being able to articulate why the book affects them so strongly. Sammy's impending return. The timing of these revelations is particularly significant because all signs point to Sammy making a return to Salem in the near future, which would provide the perfect opportunity for these hidden connections to finally come to light. When Sammy arrives back in town, her presence will inevitably trigger more memories and create situations where the truth about the Italian clinic can emerge. She might casually mention her time reading to EJ during his recovery, not realizing that Kat is within earshot and that this information will be the key that unlocks everything. Alternatively, Sammy might encounter Kat and experience her own moment of recognition, remembering the young woman who was recovering in the bed next to her husband's all those years ago. The writers have been meticulously laying the groundwork for this revelation since June, and now all the pieces are in position for a major payoff that will recontextualize everything we thought we understood about Kat's arrival in Salem and her various connections to the town's residents. The bigger picture. What makes this mystery so compelling isn't just the clever use of a literary reference to connect three characters, but what it might mean for future storylines involving Kat, EJ, and Sammy. If Kat and EJ share this deeply buried connection through their time as patients in Italy, it creates a bond between them that exists completely outside of their current interactions and relationships. This could lead to complicated dynamics when the truth emerges, particularly if Kat is currently involved with someone else, or if EJ's recognition of their shared experience triggers unexpected emotions. The Wuthering Heights connection might also shed light on other mysteries surrounding Kat's past and her true reasons for coming to Salem in the first place. Additionally, Sammy's role in both of their recoveries positions her as an unwitting link between two people who may not realize how much history they actually share. The revelation could bring Sammy closer to Kat, creating a surrogate mother-daughter dynamic, or it could complicate matters if Kat's current activities in Salem are at odds with Sammy's family interests. What this means for Salem. As this mystery continues to unfold in the coming weeks, viewers can expect several key developments that will bring clarity to the Wuthering Heights puzzle. EJ and Kat will likely have more interactions that feel strangely familiar to both of them, creating an undercurrent of connection that neither can fully explain. The show may employ flashback sequences showing Sammy's time in Italy, finally giving viewers a glimpse of what actually happened during those years when EJ was recovering and how Kat factored into that period. Foster's role in bringing up Wuthering Heights in the first place suggests that he may have knowledge about Kat's past that she herself has forgotten, and his questions could be designed to help trigger her memories. The book itself may continue to appear as a recurring motif in upcoming episodes, serving as a physical symbol of the hidden connections that bind these characters together. When the full truth finally emerges, it will likely have ripple effects throughout multiple storylines, affecting not just Kat, EJ, and Sammy, but also their various relationships with other Salem residents who will have to adjust to these new revelations about the past. Days of Our Lives has always excelled at playing the long game with mysteries that span months or even years, and the Wuthering Heights connection appears to be another example of the show's masterful storytelling approach. The attention to detail, from Kat's reaction to Sammy's photo in June to the parallel book discoveries in October, demonstrates a commitment to cohesive narrative planning that rewards loyal viewers who pay attention to subtle clues. As we move closer to Sammy's return and the inevitable moment when all these secrets come spilling out, the excitement continues to build for what promises to be a revelation that will reshape our understanding of multiple characters and their hidden histories. Stay tuned for more explosive developments as this fascinating mystery continues to unfold.